When we talk about different perspectives that are spoken about India today across the globe,
India is a middle power on its way to become a great power.
Fast-growing economy has vast potential.
there are a lot of different opinions that actually come out on your screens. Whether you're consuming on Twitter or any other website, everyone speaks about India. Everyone wants to talk about India and everyone wants to be part of the India story. Or at least that's what people are selling to all of us who are living in India.
India is mattering more and more to the world.
But if you ask a person who stays outside India and ask them, does India matter to the world? Different points of view will also come up from there. Because there's a conversation about India from a business perspective, from a geopolitical angle, and from a people perspective. And all three different perspectives bring you different narratives about the country. And in today's video, I'm going to basically cover all these 3 points that I mentioned in elaborate detail, of course, and I will also tell you the beauty of our generation and how we are actually helping shape the narrative of India to the whole world. To know more, please make sure that you watch this video till the very end. Hello and welcome to this brand new video on the Indian Millennials channel. My name is Rohit Kotpad. I bring about contextual information based on things that are happening in India, in the world, and in our beloved marketplace. Well, I have a very strange reason for doing this particular video because I happen to understand that there's a huge narrative going about from a pro-India movement as well as anti-India movement. But what is the truth, what is the reality is something which always somehow finds way to the center. In the world today, in this changing of paradigm shifts that are happening in geopolitics, there are countries that are looking at India to be sort of a replacement to China from a manufacturing perspective. Whether it's production of low-end goods or high-end goods, people are looking at India. Because if there's one country that can actually provide that kind of manpower in terms of numbers, in terms of number of people, and in terms of lower wages across the globe, after China, there is only India. But that's the story that we have been sold all these days. But the reality is something else. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the harsh truth. India is definitely there in the picture, but the world has understood to not put all its eggs in one particular basket. They did that when they actually relied on China as a manufacturing hub. And today, it's basically a series of countries that are actually taking this up together. You can talk about Vietnam, you can talk about Mexico, you can talk about Cambodia, you can talk about Philippines, and then you can also talk about India. So India is not the only alternative to China, but India is one of the alternatives to China. But this video is about, does India matter to the world? If yes, how does it matter to the world? The answer lies in simple things. India today is ranked in the top 10 economies in the world, which is poised to be in top 3 very soon. India is number 1 in terms of population in the whole world. The Indian Diaspora or the NRIs are actually the true brand ambassadors of India's culture, India's food, and India's way of doing things. In the United States of America, the Indian Diaspora is one of the wealthiest immigrant communities in America. And that speaks volumes, doesn't it? You look at any of the CEOs of major companies, some of them happen to be very much Indian. They might not be Indian citizens anymore, but culturally they are Indian. The same people are actually brand ambassadors. They are actually the people who are actually promoting the entire cultural nuances of our country to the whole world. Now, when you ask people, does India matter to you? Does India matter to, say, countries in Europe? Does India matter to countries like in the US? The fact is, India matters to a few people, but many people don't even want to talk about India because they don't really give much importance to our country. People who give importance to any country from a threat point of view, they only look at China and they look at Russia, because these are the two countries that are always there in the media, in global channels. India has always been the third player, the player who's like, yeah, okay, Indians are good at work, Indians are good at math, Indians are great doctors, Indians are this, Indians are that, and so on and so forth. But that is the real narrative. The Indian diaspora is doing a great job, whereas in India we are fed with a lot of content that speaks saying India is the greatest country, India is doing this, India is Vishwaguru, India is this, but the reality is that we can aspire to be that, but we are not yet there. Are we on the right track of achieving that? That is where our generation comes in, because we are the generation that believes in moving out of the country to either work, or we are making a good ton of money in this country and using that money to travel to other places. And when we travel to other places, the one thing that we crave for the most is Indian food. And then when we go to these Indian restaurants to eat Indian food, whom do we see there? We see actual people of that country enjoying Indian food. Yeah, the truth is though, as far as Indian food is concerned, for the world, it's only Punjabi, North Indian food that is considered Indian food, which is again a problem for all of us who live down south and other parts, because Indian food itself is a huge subject to talk about. But I am speaking about food here because that's also a cultural nuance. Because when we talk about China, we know exactly what Chinese food is. When we talk about Japan, we know exactly what Japanese food is. Unfortunately though, Indian food, we still don't know the nuances of Indian food because India is such a plural country. That's one way of looking at it. Second is the millennial workforce that is working across the globe. They are looking at giving away information, doing the right things and making sure companies grow. Look at all the FANG companies. A lot of the population within these companies happen to be Indian citizens or of Indian origin. Go to Wall Street, which is a financial hub of the world, you will find Indian origin people or Indians in general. Go anywhere, any industry, you will see Indians, because these guys are workhorses, because we have learned how to work hard and we use it in other countries. And within India, we are also building this narrative of becoming a Vishwaguru, a superpower by 2047. All this is only achievable if Indians collectively, whether you are an NRI or whether you are in India, work towards achieving that. And you don't have to work towards it being a very hyper nationalistic person. No. That's not the way to do it. Just do what you're supposed to do in the right way and you will eventually get there. So now, after beating around the bush, let me tell you how and why India matters to the world. Simple reasons. India is the HR hub of the world. We have a lot of human resources at our disposal. Number two, all the companies look at the India's ever-growing middle-class market and they want to use that market to make a lot of money. And that's why all these companies are coming here. Number three, availability of skilled workforce in a country like India is bringing companies like Apple, Samsung, Boeing, all of them to India to run their manufacturing centers, because they do not look at India to build or develop or manufacture trivial items like toilet paper, but they look at India as a country that can actually help the world by supplying semiconductor chips, Boeing aircrafts, and so on and so forth. These are things why India matters to the world. And in this growing space of geopolitical shifts where there are multiple Cold Wars happening, say there's one Cold War happening between the US and China, one between US and Russia, and one also between India and China as we speak, it's very important to have the highest populated country to be in the midst of the conversation about how to shape the world for the future. So India is not just about yoga, India is not just about Indian food and samosas and butter chicken and butter naan. India is much more. As long as we understand these nuances, I think our generation will know exactly what to do for themselves, because what you do for yourself will eventually shape the narrative of the future of our country. Because we are the present, we are the future, and we are the generation that is going to last long. And we are the largest millennial population in the world that is also going to be building this country for the future. So yes, that's how India definitely matters to the world. If you agree with me, thank you very much. If you do not, please comment down below. And please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will come with more such content going forward. Until next time, take care, Jai Hind and goodbye.